I wonder what kind of tomorrow they really will have.
I want to write the best Law Dispute record ever. That's my expectation. And I've been known to push things, and I'm ready to push. I think the band is in a better place than we ever have been on several levels. Personal levels, I think we're all just happier as people too. And I think that's gonna make the process more enjoyable, not as much of a struggle as it usually is. And I also think we'll trust each other to be the best version of what we are for this band. And that excites me, because I think we'll make for a really great record. We have been able to do this for so long, and I think a lot of bands who play punk or whatever this is, very few have the opportunity to have a longevity and also be able to kind of take your own path. So I think we're a really lucky band for that reason.
It's not just something that you sacrifice this time for and your kind of sense of self for and your autonomy for. There's a result, and the result's not a product, it's a project, and that's more than this month, and it's more than the months that it took to write it. It's just all of our expression together, and that's really interesting.
I'll have a newborn child when this record comes out, so I hope that the time that I've spent away making this is something that I can be proud of, my family can be proud of.
I know, I'm just pushing myself because the first few I did, I felt good all the way to the end, and now I'm running out of steam, and I don't want to accept the inevitability that I'm getting older and gonna die.
That's kind of the big theme, is just like getting to a point in your life where you feel like you have less control than you either did at an earlier junction or less than you expected to have when you arrived at your current point. A lot of it deals with the things beyond us that affect us and gradually change us over time, that contribute to a feeling of disaffection or dissociation, and be it the way you were raised and the environment around you as you were developing, or the state of the world, generally speaking. So there's a lot of talk about the pretty specific church that Brad and Chad and I were raised in West Michigan, that has like a pretty strong influence on the entire city of Grand Rapids, but specifically the people who were raised in the church. Talk about that a lot, and I talk about climate change, and I talk about capitalism, not in like those very specific terms, but I've never been particularly good at tackling things head on so much as I am about telling stories and helping people infer something valuable.
No reflection from an eye thrown back. There's no night here less nocturnal than this, or more black. Just the car along the slope of the road. And the camera above.
started speaking out loud to myself, and I was like, oh, there's no way this works. And I was like,
It's so much slower.
So then I just chopped that up and started piecing it together that way. Yeah, like hang on to polysyllabic words longer, and it just doesn't work if I'm yelling. Anyway, it's too much backstory.
Marlon, did you get it when he said polysyllabic?
Yes, I did.
Alright, let's get this last take.
Hell yeah.
About who is or is not driving the car. Goddamn. And the direction we all go.
Just
The threat of a bend. Because there's always a bend in the...
Yeah, I love that, except for I said is or is not, and I don't want to say is or is not. I was afraid that I was going to like that take.
Woo, was a good one. It's an ancient tradition.
I took a lot from the films of Paul Schrader, seeing this artist that I love. And part of the reason that I connect to what he does is the shared experience, because I can see in a way that I think most people probably can't how he arrived at what he arrived at, because I know what it's like to be raised in a Calvinist church, and I know what it's like to be raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and it's obviously not one-to-one, but I think you feel an impulse from not necessarily a productive place to one-up yourself via change, to show that you are capable of doing something other than what you've done. And I think there's a lot of value in going back to something and seeing it from the perspective of age and experience, and from the perspective of having explored that thing already, and coming out of not being able to be in the same room together with everyone or make music or tour, and playing Wildlife front to back and then playing Rooms of the House front to back. I think I realized how much of those things I still wanted to talk about. And Paul Schrader has more or less, not entirely, but he has repeatedly returned to the same structure, the same story, effectively, the same narrative, the same subject matter, and just done it over and over again. And you learn something different from every iteration, and I'm certain that the impulse for him to do so is similar to the impulse to experience it as a viewer, because I'm sure he's learning more about it. But I think we're less averse to retreading something we'd done already. And I think that was a productive realization creatively, to say, like, let's just fucking go back to some of those things and see what happens.
We just finished the
Backwards and forwards.
I can't believe I have to be on an airplane in 2 hours. No.
Hell yeah. And then it's done.
And this record I wanted to structure like a film, kind of. Which was the initial impetus for structuring it in acts the way that it is. So it begins with
Chin scratching.
Want to do one more?
Yeah.